Welcome to Smashville. This is PK Subban.
I'm Dan Hamhuis.
This is Craig Smith.
This is Mike Fisher.
But you need to dig in right now, every guy.
Everybody loves their soldiers until they come home and stop fighting.
Enough is enough.
They need me to bleed, and I'll bleed for my team.
Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
This is Ryan Johansson. Welcome to Smashville.
This is Philip Forsberg.
I'm Victor Arvidsson.
I'm Ryan Ellis.
I'm Matthias Ekholm.
I'm Beckerin, and you're listening to the Renegades of Puck with Crazy Charlie.
Crazy Charlie puts words in my mouth. You can't trust that guy.
If you can't get some fire, some passion, some energy, and figure out how in the hell to talk about this magnificent sport of hockey that has taken over the city of Nashville, then why are you on the radio? You don't deserve it, and you should do the honorable thing and turn your mic in. You're making a damn fool of yourself.
This is my declaration. I'm coming after every single one of you. The lazy, the tired, the boring voices out there. Your time is up. I'm Crazy Charlie Saunier.
I'm Pete Weber of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Colton Sissons of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Eustace of the Nashville Predators.
You're listening to the Renegades of Puck
with Crazy Charlie.
Find a way, boys. No more half-stepping.
Now, here's your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier.
Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. And before we get started with the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, first let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you go to renegadesofpuck.com, you'll learn everything you need to know about the show and what you're good and educated about the show. Well, that's when you click on that merchandise tab. Take you straight to our classic logo t-shirt, our pride logo t-shirt, all the different special event gimmicks you've come to know and love and expect from the Renegades of Puck, and so much more. The best way to say it is that we've sold out so that you can buy in. Social media is of critical importance to this independent, unaffiliated operation known as the Renegades of Puck. So here's how you can jump in the trenches. Please support us on Instagram or perhaps Facebook, maybe Threads. We are still on X as well. So please, whatever platform it is that you prefer, it doesn't take you but a minute and it doesn't cost you a single thing. So please help us out where you can. YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. Asking for a lot of help and a lot of support from the audience out there lately, but we really need it in order to keep this operation moving in a forward direction. We have a whole lot of new content, projects, shows, everything coming out soon. So make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel and let the Renegades in your life know all about it. If you'd like to pay off our virtual swear bill, we do have a virtual swear jar right there on the corner of the desk. It's also a virtual tip jar. Scan the QR code at any time or just go to Venmo and search out Renegades of Puck long form and you'll be able to make a donation. Every single dollar goes a long way to helping us out here in the bunker. And believe me, if you could see everywhere outside of this frame, even in this frame, it's a bit cluttered right now. There is construction going on. There are operations happening that we will be revealing to you in the near future. We need your support, though, to help get those projects finished. So please, every dollar you can spare, send it over to the Renegades of Puck and help us today. Sure do appreciate it, everybody. Stick taps, love, and respect. Now listen, I know it's time for the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, so let me deliver the goods. Point towards the wall and the number. It's time for operation number 954. That's right, show number 954. And at this moment in hockey history, the Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 7th place in the Central Division after 43 games skated. Their record 14, 22, and 7, 35 points. Has them, well, very far outside of the playoff picture. We'll update the full entirety of the Central Division here in just a second. On home ice, which is Bridgestone Arena, which is where the Nashville Predators' next game will take place against the Chicago Blackhawks. They have a record of 9, 8, and 3. Preds have scored 106 goals this season. They've given up 135. They have a goal differential of minus 29. The updated Central Division before we move ahead with the show. The Winnipeg Jets still in first place at 63 points. The Minnesota Wild in second at 58. Dallas right behind at 57. Colorado Avalanche only 2 points behind the cutoff line at 55 points for an automatic qualifying playoff spot. St. Louis at 46, Utah at 43, and then the Predators and the Blackhawks, the only two teams in the Central down in the 30s. The Preds have 35, the Blackhawks have 30, but we'll get more into the Hawks here in just a second. The week ahead for the Predators looks like this. Saturday, the homestand continues versus the Minnesota Wild. Tuesday, San Jose comes to town. It'll be the first time the Predators faced off against the Sharks this season, and then a home and home with San Jose is what will break out. So Tuesday versus San Jose, and then off to San Jose to face off against the Sharks for a second time. And then the 25th of January will see the Predators in Anaheim for the first time this season. And the 29th will see the Predators closing out the regular season series against the Vancouver Canucks. For the Predators and the Blackhawks, well, this is the second of 4 regular season meetings between the Central Division rivals, and the Predators Well, they need every single point they can get. They've already secured 2 points out of a possible 2 from the Blackhawks earlier this season, all the way back on October the 25th, when, honestly, we didn't know what any team really was yet. It was still the first couple weeks of the season, but the Predators secure a 3-2 victory in Chicago. Saros picked up the win with 27 saves on 29 shots against. Forsberg, Nyquist, and Shea all scored goals in that game. Mrazek picked up the loss, and he went 31 out of 34. Bedard and Smith picked up the goals for the Blackhawks. It will be February the 7th when the Predators are back in Chicago for the next meeting in the series, and then it will be March the 8th when the Blackhawks come to Bridgestone Arena for the second time, which will be the fourth meeting between these two teams this season. Before we get into the Blackhawks and the matchup, let's talk about injuries, because the Predators are having a bit of difficulties right now. Luke Evangelista is listed as out. Luzon, Wilsby, Smith, all listed on injured reserve, and there are a couple of other players that are currently dinged up but still in the lineup. Stamkos, Novak, there are others, I'm sure, halfway through the season dealing with a number of things that, well, frankly, we don't know about at this point. Let's talk about the Blackhawks a little bit. Blackhawks currently find themselves in 8th place in the Central. They've skated in 44 games this season. They have a record of 14, 28, and 2. They have 30 points, 5 points behind Nashville. On the road, they have a record of 5, 15, and 2. The Blackhawks have scored 113 goals on the season, which is 7 more than Nashville, but they have given up 152 goals against, which is just a massive number for a goal differential of minus 39 on the year. The Hawks, in their most recent stretch of 5, we go back to January the 5th, we find a 6-2 loss versus the New York Rangers on the 8th of January. A 3-1 win versus the Colorado Avalanche on the 10th of January. A 5-3 loss at Detroit on the 11th of January. A 4-3 loss versus Edmonton. And most recently, the 13th of January saw a 5-2 loss versus the Calgary Flames. Mrazek took the loss, went 31 out of 36 in that game, and also was placed on injured reserve after the game. NHL ranks in this matchup. We find ourselves statistically comparable in a number of places, in the goals for category especially. The Predators, 2.47 goals per game, is 31st in the NHL. Small gain, but yes, a positive for sure. 2.55 for Chicago is 30th in the NHL. So again, very comparable here when it comes to goals per game. In the goals against, the Predators 3.14 is 22nd in the NHL. 3.45 goals against for Chicago is 30th. Shots for category, shots on net, only 25.1 for Chicago. That's 32nd and last in the NHL. The Predators, a bit better, 29 shots on goal per game. That's 12th overall in the league. The Predators giving up 29.2 shots against per game, though. That is 25th, while the Blackhawks are giving up 30.5 shots against per game. That is 28th overall in the league. When it comes to special teams, the Predators power play converting at 19.7% is 20th overall in the league. 24 conversions, 122 opportunities. The Blackhawks find themselves in a little bit of better position, converting at 23.4%. That's 12th best in the league. They have converted 25 times on 107 opportunities. More conversions, fewer opportunities for the Blackhawks over the Nashville Predators. When it comes to the penalty kill, the Predators have slipped. They are down to 6th in the NHL with a kill rate of 83%. They've given up 22 power play goals against. The Blackhawks have the 4th best penalty kill in the NHL, the kill rate of 83.3%. They've given up 21 power play goals against. So the special teams metrics favor the Chicago Blackhawks in this one, but just about everything else is in favor of the Nashville Predators when you look at the comparable statistics in these categories that we just mentioned. When it comes to the individual statistics, they are also actually fairly comparable in top 5 scores. Bedard for Chicago is 12 goals, 27 assists, 39 points. Teravainen's at 10 goals and 21 assists for 31 points. Donato, 13 and 11 for 24. Bertuzzi, 14 plus 8 for 22. And Hall is at 8 and 14 for 22. Over on the Nashville Predators side of things, Philip Forsberg continues to lead the way at 12 goals, 25 assists now, 37 total points. Marchessault is at 14 goals and 18 assists for 32 points. Yossi's at 8 goals and 21 assists for 29 points. Stamkos, 14 and 14 for 28. O'Reilly's at 13 and 13 for 26. Anticipated goaltender matchup sees Juuse Saros back in net with a record of 9-18 and 6, 2.78 goals against, averaging a .904 save percentage, and 4 shutouts on the season, facing facing off against Soderblom. 6-11-1 is his record, 2.99 goals against, average a .903 save percentage. That's got you all set for the Nashville Predators hosting the Chicago Blackhawks for the first of 2 times at Bridgestone Arena this season, second of 4 meetings between these two teams. The Preds hold a 1-0 lead in the series so far. It's time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. Let's go back and find out what happened against the Vegas Golden Knights at Bridgestone Arena. It's coming up next, right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast.
Hockey players are as unique as the game itself, and your uniform should be tailored to fit you. Rebirth Sports is your sports apparel tailor. From shells, bags, warm-ups, hats, hoodies, branding, and more, let Rebirth Sports be your custom hockey tailor.
And don't forget to tell them they do more than just hockey.
Rebirth Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sport, a match made in hockey.
It's now time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. We go all the way back January 14th, year 2025, when the Nashville Predators were facing off against the Vegas Golden Knights at Bridgestone Arena. Head coach Andrew Brunette deploys his lines of defensemen in the following ways: Forsberg, Stamkos, and Marchessault, Nyquist, O'Reilly, Heine-Stroza, Novak, Svechkov, and LaRue. Jankowski, McCarron, Sissons make up your fourth line. Yossi and Barron, Shea and Blankenberg, Stastny and Shen. Noonan gets the start in net. UC Saros listed as day-to-day just before the game. 4:39 into the first period, where we find our first action in Samsonov coming over the save on Shea. That's the first shot on goal of the game at the 5:17 mark of the first period. Samsonov coming over the save on Blankenberg at close range. At 9:10 of the first period, Samsonov coming over the save on Marchessault's strong wrist shot right here. 9:43, Preds breakthrough first. Stamkos is 13th of the season. Rebound jam after Marchessault's wraparound attempt doesn't go. Nashville Predators on the board first, leading Vegas by a score of 1-0. 12:06 of the first period, though, Forsberg, his 12th goal this season. He pounces on that loose puck right off of the face-off drop, gives the Predators a 2-0 lead. Forsberg finding the accuracy for the third game in a row. 15:46 now, the first period. Samsonov comes up with a save on Jankowski. 16:48, Samsonov comes up with a save on LaRue. At 17:25 of the first period, a name you've not heard yet in this game. Noonan comes up with a save on Theodore's dump-in. That is technically the first shot on goal for Vegas. Of course, not much of a save. 19:43, Noonan does come up with a poke check on Eichel off of the rush. Not credited with a shot on goal, but honestly a much more dangerous scoring opportunity than the dump-in that was credited. The Nashville Predators lead 2-0 after the first period, are out shooting the Vegas Golden Knights, the best team in the West, by a total of 11-1. 3:02 now of the second period. Samsonov comes up with a save on Novak's wraparound attempt. At 5:29 of the second period, it's Barron's first goal as a Nashville Predator. A heavy shot goes bar down. What an incredible first goal as a Nashville Predator for the defenseman Barron, making it 3-0 over Vegas early in the second period. At 6:24 of the second period, Dorofeyev goes off the box, 2 minutes for tripping on Shea. It's the first penalty of the game in the Predators' first special team scenario. Samsonov comes up with a save on Stamkos' one-timer. Few do that. Samsonov comes up with a save on Forsberg, but at 8:41, a lengthy, continuous shift that went from the beginning of the power play until this moment for Steven Stamkos. Well, at 8:41, after the power play expires, back to 5-on-5 hockey on the continuation, Stamkos gets his 14th. It was a sharp angle bank shot after a very, very heavy amount of pressure on the Vegas Golden Knights. Stamkos' 14th of the season makes it 4-0 in favor of the Nashville Predators. Then at 9:12 of the second period, Dorofeyev comes up with his 17th goal this season, a weak side wrist shot finish, and it was a really good, accurate shot right here. Vegas on the board, but the Preds still maintain a 4-1 lead halfway through the game. At 13:25 now of the second, and Samsonov coming with a save on Svechkov at 13:53 of the second period. Heine-Stroza off the box, 2 minutes for high sticking, giving the Vegas Golden Knights their first power play of the game. And it's Dorofeyev converting for his 18th second time in this period. Heavy one-timer. Gets Vegas their second goal of the game. The Nashville Predators now have a 4-2 lead. 14:26 of the second period. Noonan comes up with a save on Roy at 18 minutes of the second period. Stamkos off the box, 2 minutes for tripping. And Noonan would come up with a save on Pietrangelo, and that would get us to the intermission. Predators have a 2-goal lead and are out shooting Vegas 21-9, so the Golden Knights get 8 shots on goal in the second period. 1:59 out of the third period. Samsonov coming with with a save on Tommy Novak. 3:49 now of the third. And it's Noonan coming up with a save on Pearson from the slot. Heavy traffic buzzing by, creating a distraction. 6:13. Noonan comes up with a save on Dorofeev. 9:06 of the third now. Noonan comes up with a save on Olofsson. 10:38 of the third period. Noonan comes up with a save on McNabb in Vegas. Controlling play. As a matter of fact, this is starting to be a mirror image of an opposite of what the first period was. It is the Vegas Golden Knights just simply dominating, and the Predators just in a shell here at 14:34. The third period. Noonan comes up with a save on Haig. 15:19. It's Dorofeev again. His 19th of the season now. Wrist shot off the rush. His third goal of the game, gets the hat trick. Even a lone hat makes its way to the ice at Bridgestone Arena. The Preds still hold the lead 4-3, but things are getting very, very close out there. 15:51 now of the third period. Noonan comes up with a save on Hannafin. 19:30 of the third period. Noonan comes up with a save on Peter Angelo's heavy shot with the 5-star save on Eichel's follow-up. The tying goal was just centimeters from going in, maybe millimeters. 19:59. In a bit of a hilarious circumstance, the Predators missing the empty net a number of times in the final seconds before O'Reilly beats the buzzer at 19:59 with the empty net goal, his 13th, securing the Predators the 5-3 victory on home ice. The Predators would outshoot the Vegas Golden Knights for this game 23-22. But listen, Vegas only had one shot on goal in the first period. The Nashville Predators only had 2 shots on goal in the third period. So we saw a very odd hockey game right here. Preds dominate the first and the first part of the second, and they hang on for dear life to beat the Vegas Golden Knights by a total of 5-3. And Noonan does the job in net in place of Saros, and the Nashville Predators get one of their signature wins of the season. It doesn't matter if they had to hang on. It doesn't matter if the Vegas Golden Knights made it close. They're the best team in the Western Conference, and the Predators come away with the big 2 points at Bridgestone Arena. That's going to do it for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. We've got analysis, box score, so much more coming up next right here, Renegades of Puck podcast.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tracy, owner-operator of Strong Style Fitness, and that's me and my training assistant, Rizzo. And we are here to bring you fitness that meets you where you are by offering circuit classes, bar-inspired classes, Tabata workouts, boot camps, guided stretching, and more, all taught by a certified personal trainer, me. To learn more, go to our website, strongstylefit.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Strong Style Fitness. Follow on social media at Strong Style Fit. But most importantly, let's get you moving. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or you've been doing it for years. Strong Style Fitness has the workout that meets you on your journey and helps you along the path to a happier, healthier life. I understand where you've been, what you were going through, and where you were going, and I want to take you there. We'll see you on the mat. Mwah.
That was a Rebirth Sports full game recap. Let's do some analysis right here, and then I got a special guest coming up here before the end of the show. A fantastic conversation with Zach McCann that I am about to play for you. Let's get through the analysis. Let's get through the box score. Let's get through it real quick and get to ZMC. Noonan gets to start a net for the Nashville Predators, 19-22. Concerned that UC Saros was listed as a game-time decision and then did not make the start. But to be honest with you, Noonan's been so good as a Nashville Predator. I was kind of excited to see him get this opportunity at Bridgestone Arena against the Vegas Golden Knights, and he really did step up. 19-22. He picks up the win. He only faced 1 shot in the first period, but he faced 13 in the third, and it was intense, including the tying goal with just seconds left in the game by one of the best players in the NHL. He shut it down right there on the goal line. So Noonan, I felt, had a very strong game and gave the Predators one of their signature wins of the season. They don't have very many of those. As a matter of fact, I think it's 2 at this point, and that was one of them right there. Steven Stamkos was all over the offensive zone last night. He was a force out there. 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 total points, 3 shots on goal, scores on the bank shot, scores from all over the place. Steven Stamkos has just been really great to watch game in and game out. I followed his entire career, but you just don't really, it's just like March so the same type of thing. You don't get to really understand and appreciate what makes them so great until you watch them shift in and shift out. And the fire that resides in Steven Stamkos is something that, it's probably going to get him in trouble at some point, but he's also got enough respect. He's been in the league long enough to get away with it. But he has some competitive fire in him. Philip Forsberg picks up a goal, assists 2 points, a goal in 3 straight games. Has he found the range again? Has he found his consistency? It couldn't stay that way forever, missing the net at record levels, his shooting percentage being lower than ever. So Philip Forsberg back on the score sheet for the 3rd time in 3 games, also adds an assist to that for 2 total points, continues leading the team in scoring at 37. Barron picks up his first goal as a Nashville Predator. Bar down, sweet, comes through at just the perfect time in a huge game, so Barron gets some credit right there for his first goal. Marchessault, strong influence in the game, though he only had 1 assist on the sheet. He did have 1 blocked shot. He had 1 shot on goal, 17:07 total time on ice, and kind of a weird thing, mentally just kind of pretending he really wasn't the captain and Stanley Cup winner hero for the Vegas Golden Knights over the last few seasons, and just focusing on his role as a Nashville Predator. And whatever he did, it worked, because the Nashville Predators came out flying in this game and were dominant. Yes, they had to hang on by the end of this thing, but they were absolutely crushing the Vegas Golden Knights. It was 4-0 at one point. How many times have we had that happen for the Predators this season? Honestly, we haven't. And O'Reilly, just a comedy of errors there at the end of the game as multiple players fire for the empty net, hit the outside of the net, hit the post, hit the glass, hit everything but the empty net, and then somehow the puck stays into the zone and O'Reilly just smacks it towards the net and it goes in just before the buzzer goes off, so he gets credit for the empty net goal. So I was happy to see O'Reilly get himself an empty netter. They don't ask how, they ask how many at the end of the season, and Ryan O'Reilly, I'm always glad to see him get a little bit of bump in the stats. He's one of those types of players that deserves that kind of thing. Let's hear from our good friends at Stripe Digital Solutions. Let's bust through the good, cold, hard numbers known as the box score. Let's get to our good friend ZMC joining the Renegades of Puck podcast for the first time. We're back with the box score next, right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast.
The digital environment can be quite intimidating, time-consuming, and cumbersome, especially with all those other areas that need attention at your business, and that's why Stripe Digital Solutions is here to help. I know, because that's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions did for me and the Renegades of Puck. From designing my home website and helping me create my merchandise to special event posters, brand building, and social media management. But it's not just that, it's so much more. Stripe Digital Solutions has helped me every step of the way. From startup to full-time operation, Stripe Digital Solutions has been there to assist and advise every single step of the journey. In today's fast-paced world, the path to success is having a strong digital partner, and nobody is better in the trenches than Brandy and Stripe Digital Solutions. Get the solution before it's even a problem with Stripe Digital Solutions.
Welcome back in. Time for the good, cold, hard numbers. Philip Forsberg scores a goal. Ryan O'Reilly scores a goal, but Steven Stamkos scores 2 to pace the Nashville Predators. Also add 1 for Justin Barron on the assist side of things. 1 awarded to multiple players. Philip Forsberg, Jonathan Marchessault, Gus Nyquist, Colton Sissons, Steven Stamkos, and Roman Josi all pick up assists in this game. Shots leader Steven Stamkos with 3. A handful of players with 2, but the Predators at the end of this game only generating 23 total shots on goal and only 2 in the third period. So not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the shots and all the physical component of things. LaRue back in the lineup from his suspension now, getting his skates back under him and clearly feeling good. 6 hits in this game to pace the Nashville Predators. Michael McCarron also added in 4. Not a lot of other physical play across the board here. Heinestroza Jankowski with 2, and to be honest with you, that's just about it. There was only 18 total hits in this game, and 10 of them were taken up by LaRue and McCarron. When it comes to your time on ice, leaders 18-14 led the forwards with Ryan O'Reilly, 17:07 from March, so 17 minutes even from Stamkos and Sissons. When it comes to the defense, always a different story. 24-33 for the captain, Roman Josi, 21 minutes for Brady Shea. And this was crazy because the power play had so much pressure and was so successful. The Predators, though they only had 1 power play, did not change a single player on that unit for the entirety of the 2 minutes. So you have a very bizarre stat line here of Forsberg, Marchessault, O'Reilly, Stamkos, and Josi all skating exactly 2 minutes on the power play. It was unsuccessful, but the continuation, of course, led to a Steven Stamkos goal just a little bit after the power play expired. The penalty kill time on ice leaders from the forwards, 104 for Colton Sissons, 103 for Tommy Novak, 120 for Roman Josi, and 106 for Brady Shea. Your netminder in this game was Justus Sanunin, 19 of 22, 3 goals against, an in-game save percentage of .864, 17 even strength saves, 2 power play saves. Again, one save in the first period, and then had to face a pretty heavy workload of 13 shots against in the third period. He didn't stop them all, but he battled right up till the very end and knocked that Jack Eichel rebound opportunity aside at just the perfect moment, securing that victory before O'Reilly could really put it away with the empty net goal with 1 second left. Some other numbers falling out of the box score here. The power play was 0 for 1 for the Predators, but they did score on the continuation, so give them some stick taps for that. The PK 1 for 2 and now dropped to 6th in the NHL in penalty kill. It's the lowest they've been in quite some time as far as kill rate and rankings. Based on winning percentage at 54.7, that was nice. 18 hits seemed a little low, but the Predators were playing from ahead and dominating a lot of the game. 14 block shots, only 4 takeaways, 33 giveaways. That count right there is insane to me. The Predators, I didn't think were that sloppy or loose with the puck in this particular game. So I'm gonna take disagreement with that particular part of the box score. I typically don't do that, but I'm going to right there. That's going to do it for the box score. The good cold hard numbers, we've exhausted them. The Predators with a signature win. The feel good, that's the most important thing. They get out of there. They held on at the end, and Noonan does the big work, gets the save at the very end on Eichel. The Predators find a way to score 5 goals in a game on home ice and beat the best team in the Western Conference. Fantastic job by the Nashville Predators. Listen, I had a chance after that game, and with everything going on, there was really nobody better to talk to than Zach McCann. Zach McCann's witnessed it all. He's been here since day one of the Nashville Predators. Of course, his dad, Paul McCann, the voice of Bridgestone Arena, the voice of the Nashville Predators PA announcer, and Paul's been on this show many times, and you guys know how close I am with Paul, who helped me get my start here in Nashville, along with Pete Weber at Slapshot Radio all the way back in the day. So now a new generation of analysts named McCann are emerging, and Zach McCann was ready to jump in the trenches. He is a member of the Renegades of Puck Hockey Club. He's also a member of the Nashville Predators organization as far as hosting their pregame parties. We'll let him plug that during our conversation. I'm just going to let you listen in on our conversation. Some good stories, some good laughs, me stealing David Poyle's hot dog, some other stories from ZMC. I think you'll really enjoy it. We're going to start doing this on a regular basis, and we're going to start bringing more people on the show. I'm ready to start socializing. I'm ready to start showing some more personality, and honestly, I'm ready to start talking to the people again. It's been entirely too long that it's just been you and me here in the bunker, so let's go ahead and start airing it out, having some fun. Here's my conversation with Run ZMC. Welcome back in. Renegades of Puck podcast. Yes, that's right. The headphones are on here in the bunker. That's because at this time, I'm joined by the one and only Zach McCann, the host of the Predators pregame party. You can catch him live. He's going to plug the dates. He's going to plug the location. And matter of fact, he's going to plug the sponsor as well, because that's the way we do things on the show. Then we're going to talk some Preds hockey. He is the one and only ZMC. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he ain't the first McCann in this town. He also ain't the first to appear on this show. He is Zach McCann.
Ah, Charlie, you know how to make a guy feel special. Oh, man, what an honor it is to be making my debut on the Renegades of Puck podcast here. So this is exciting for me, having been a member of the Renegades of Puck hockey team for the last few seasons now. So good times, you know, to pay some bills, of course. Charlie did mention that I am hosting the second Bud Light pregame party at BetMGM Sports Lounge, happening this Saturday night on Keith Urban Bobblehead Night, notwithstanding, January 18th, 4:30 at BetMGM Sports Lounge. Come hang out with me, DJ Battle. Preds are taking on the Wild. They're giving us some actual exciting hockey to watch right now, so it'll be a good time. Come on down.
I encourage everybody, get on out there, join the crew live and in person. ZMC is a great person to hang out with live, get to meet and get to talk pucks with. Believe me, if it's happened in Nashville hockey, he's been a witness to it. So get your opportunity, ask him some questions and hang out with the crew. Always a fun time when you get to get out. ZMC, you said something immediately in the open that piques my interest, and I want to just go right to it because there's been so much negativity the first half of the season. Let's try a little positivity here at the very beginning. Last night, Vegas, all day long. Jonathan Marchessault almost pretending he never played for the Vegas Golden Knights, or perhaps that the Vegas Golden Knights aren't even a team in the NHL. Strategy seemed to have worked. Team came out on fire. Maybe the best period of hockey they played all season long. It was a bit of a roller coaster ride hanging on till the end. But I got to tell you, I put that one in the signature win column over the best team in the Western Conference. What'd you think about that last night?
I ended up watching the game on delay. I was, doing my husbandly duties and playing Mario Party with the wife. So when I actually looked at my phone and saw the score, I thought it was lying to me. I'm not gonna lie. So when I saw we were up 4-0 and ended up, winning that whole thing 5-3, I was thrilled to see that and excited to watch the game. And it was interesting because it felt like the evil twin of the Washington Capitals game, where the Predators similarly were out there flying, just not getting rewarded for it. And this, for some reason, the cellophane was taken off the nets at Bridgestone Arena, and all of a sudden they could fill the net. And it just shows you, and what makes this season all the more frustrating, the tantalizing potential of this team that has not been realized yet. And that should be the goal for the rest of this year, realizing that potential and building those blocks, whether it is for a late style run like they had last year or for building blocks for next season. But regardless, this has to be a developmental period for this team.
Agree with you completely on that. And you mentioned, some things not going that poorly and starting to trend in a very good direction. You have Philip Forsberg scoring in 3 consecutive games after being in quite the drought. And we all understand what a streaky scorer he can be. Marchessault with 14 goals and Stamkos with 14, pacing the Predators. New additions, succeeding and performing at a very high level, definitely being big time influences on the game. And then you go and bring in another backup goaltender who, let's face it, he was outstanding last night when he was called upon in a very, very heavy traffic, busy third period. So some things are really going in the right direction. It is great to see the compete level of a Stamkos, a Marchessault, and then, of course, you have to throw O'Reilly in anytime you talk about compete level. But to see these veteran players come to Nashville and be out there barking at officials, getting in people's faces. And I can only imagine being demonstrative as well with some of the youngsters as they're coming along. But it's really great to see such star power still have that fire in the belly.
It's exciting because you see these players capture that fountain of youth one more time. And I know that it's very easy to rip on this team for the season that they've had so far. But Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos have been as advertised really since November, I would say. They have been the leadership that you want on the ice. And especially once they did the combination of them with Philip Forsberg, that is your first line for the next 4 years. Now it's about figuring out who's going to be on the second. I've enjoyed that combination of Ryan O'Reilly, Zach LaRue, and Goose Nyquist. I don't know how much longer that's going to last or anything with there, but I do think that LaRue does stand a chance of continuing to play in that top 6. If not, there are players like Joachim Kemmel in the pipeline, different kinds of offensive threats. I mean, heck, Teddy Stiga having the golden goal for the U.S. I mean, there is some offensive talent in this pipeline that is coming down.
Absolutely outstanding to watch. Some of the youth and some of the positive, of course. Again, it was a lot of negativity the first half of the season, and we're not just trying to point out that in a better direction after what was a brutal first 30 games. We have seen some improvement on home ice, especially, which is where the Preds are residing right now, Bridgestone Arena, in the middle of a homestand. Listen, hosting the Washington Capitals, regardless of the back-to-back travel circumstances, they're still the Capitals with the grade 8 in the chase. So that was a very difficult game, followed up with Vegas, another first-place team. But now you have Chicago, Minnesota, San Jose. And I'm not saying Minnesota is an easy win, but that was my 50-50 toss-up. So the Preds had 2 that I didn't think they were going to be able to handle in the 2 first-place teams. 2 that they should handle with Chicago and San Jose, and Minnesota was my 50-50. But, Zach, the Preds on home ice, respectively, are going for their 10th win, which would make them 10-8-3 now on the home rink. And after they were underwater for quite a bit of time, October, November into December, it's nice to see that they're at least over 500 at Bridgestone Arena, and that's one of those foundational building blocks that I think you were talking about.
It's been interesting, too, because if you look at the schedule this year, it's almost been a baseball-esque schedule. A ton of games at home, then really long road trips. Another big stretch at home, really long road trip. It's really kind of felt like that in a lot of ways. So it's nice after the struggles at home where you have players who are dealing with, daily life, being people outside of the rink. Then you see them go on the road, struggle a bit there, too. But they're starting to find some of that chemistry. I think it's very telling that as we're getting towards this middle point of the season, you're starting to see a similar turn that they had last year when they went on that historic streak. Now, am I saying that another one of those is coming? Absolutely not. But I do think it's interesting that Andrew Burnett's system does seem to take a second to gel with people who are coming in. And there are a lot of new parts on this team. So it's kind of to be expected that you're going to see something like this where players are still kind of trying to figure out their place in this new environment.
You said his name, so let's touch that third rail right now.
Sure.
Andrew Burnett was absolutely on the hot seat as far as the fan base was concerned. Several people in the media certainly stirring that up as well. But Barry Trotz was fairly defensive in saying it takes coaches time to grow, just like it does players, just like it takes. I believe he might have also been projecting a little bit of himself as a new GM at the NHL level. So Andrew Burnett was perceived to be on the hot seat, though I don't think internally ever truly was. And you just mentioned it. Now players that were a little bit frustrated back in October, November, and were speaking their piece a little bit, seem to be now finding a bit of their first offensive stride as Nashville Predators and within the Andrew Burnett system. So it does kind of seem like, though it took half a season to get to this point, things are starting to function within that system, and we are certainly seeing an uptick. And listen, I'm talking small gains here, but to sit here for the last 3 months and say that the Predators were 32nd in the NHL in goals for per game, and now ZMC, I can say they're 31st. That means they scored goals recently. They're upticking. They're moving up. It's a small gain, but positive gains in the Andrew Burnett system means the coach might be starting to get going in the right direction. What do you think about that?
Well, there are two things I want to touch on with that. The first one is that, we have to make no mistake about this. Andrew Burnett is bringing a foundational shift to the mindset of what is typically the Predator way. This is an attack-first offense. This is something where when you're doing something that is a little more radical, it's not just flip a switch and instantly, oh, we get it. When you're taking traditional defensive structure, traditional way that players are attacking the puck, and doing something new with it, you have to unlearn so many habits. And when you have new players in prime ice positions, Brady Shea, Marchessault, Stamkos, other players who are getting their chance to be here in the show with them, it's going to take time. And I realize that patience is difficult, especially when you're in a town that is used to, a college football-esque lifestyle where you live and die on one loss. It can be very difficult to ask for that patience. And I'm not saying anyone should be happy about the way the season has gone. I can assure you the folks at 501 Broadway are not happy with the way things have gone here. But to say that Andrew Burnett's on the hot seat or anything like that, I completely agree with you. Internally, not a chance. They're letting him grow. They're letting him develop.
Yeah, you can just tell by the comments. You don't hear coaches being defended by the GMs too heavily in the NHL, especially with the success rate, unfortunately, of recent midseason coaching changes. That seems to allow a lot of people around the league, that copycats and parodies, that it seemed like the only way to solve the Predators' problem was to run Andrew Burnett out of town on the fastest train as possible, flush it all, start it over again, and of course, like the Penguins, like the Bruins, and like the St. Louis Blues, you were going to suddenly just rise to the top of the standings. That wasn't going to happen with this team, ZMC. So I think that we're both on to something here. Andrew Burnett being safe, the GM certainly backing that up with his comments. One more about Barry Trotz, the GM. Some rumors out there this week. Impressed. Glad to see him doing media appearances still. Glad to see him answering direct questions. Whether I like the personality asking the questions or not, that's just a little thing there. Well, that's a side. But a direct question was asked, direct questions were answered, and I feel that Barry Trotz so far at least has been very genuinely willing to answer questions and give you an answer where most general managers, coaches, GMs, whatever it is in the front office really don't like to give answers. I do feel that Barry Trotz is communicating to the fan base as well as a GM can.
It's almost unsettling in a way, because after years of David Poile, who is an absolute beauty, and I'm sure we'll talk about the Golden Hall induction here later on that, honored him, Shea Weber, and Pekka Rinne today. But at the same time, David Poile was always very measured, very careful with his words. And Barry Trotz brings a more open style to his communication. You know, those appointments that he has on the flagship station are appointment listening. You know, I enjoy listening to them because you're hearing someone truly talk about the game and treat you with that level of intelligence and respect, that they're not just going to pull your leg and say something that is just, you know, empty word salad. It's one of the things that I really love about Barry as a human being and even as a GM to start. Now, you mentioned one thing earlier that I wanted to touch on. Did you know that the Nashville Predators have the worst shooting percentage in 10 years right now? Their shooting percentage is the lowest shooting percentage since, I believe, the Sabres in 2012. So let's not also discount the historic bad luck that this team is enduring right now. The hockey gods are very cruel.
Posts, crossbars, missed shots by Philip Forsberg, something I never thought I would see. The guy with the most lethal and accurate wrist shot in franchise history suddenly completely lost range of his sights. ZMC, I'm convinced he has a newborn, holding him in one arm, shifted his balance just a little bit, threw his shot off. Listen, the game is funky like that, my friend, and you know that. Crazy things happen, but Phil Forsberg seems to be getting his shot back on site. That's going to help the shooting percentage. And also, when Stamkos can convert from seemingly any angle at any time, that's also going to help. But you're right. There was a historic level of bad luck for this team the first 30-plus games of the season, between posts, between missed shots, and between low shooting percentage. Historic, that opens up a new avenue right here. Let's talk about that real quick. I mean, ZMC, you've been here since the beginning. You've seen it all. So that means after last night, you've seen 1,000 Predators wins, the second fastest franchise in history by number of games played to reach 1,000 wins. Oh, and the team just ahead of the Predators, and that just happens to be the team from the town you're from originally, the family's from originally, up there in Philly, the Flyers, but only by a matter of a couple of games. That, to me, when you look into that and you look at the history of this league and these teams and this sport, to see the Nashville Predators being the second fastest franchise in history. And you mentioned the Predator way. A lot of those games were 2-1, 1-0, even back in the early seasons. But the Preds managed to compile enough victories to reach 1,000, the second fastest in league history. And, well, ZMC, you've been a witness to every single minute of it.
I don't think it's really a hot take to say that when Gary Bettman looks back on his success stories, that the Nashville Predators have to be towards the top of that list. I mean, none of these other expansion teams have hit 1,000 games in this threshold. You know, like you mentioned, the Flyers, who, you know, my adopted hometown of Philly. That's my dad's hometown. I'm from Nashville originally, but you know, when you look at what this team has done over the last 26 seasons, it's been interesting to go era by era. You have that hard-nosed initial Andrew Brunette on the team, Barry Trotz coaches one, you know, then you get to that point where you start to see some real talent come in. And it's been interesting because Steven Stamkos coming in reminds me of those first few games when Peter Forsberg first joined this team. You see players getting passes and not knowing what to do with it because they're not used to getting a pass like that. It's just exciting to see when you've got those generational style talents, even in the twilight of their careers, still having that spark of just creativity and madness with the puck that is just so exciting to watch. So 1,000 games. I mean, what more can you say? It's been up, it's been down. There are some huge highlights, but I mean, even today is a special day honoring three pillars of the franchise.
100%. Take me there. I have so many stories with those particular players. David Poyle is still angry with me for eating his hot dog in pregame dinner down in the basement many, many years ago. And I still laugh that he remembers that even. Shea Weber saw me with a credential on and gave me the meanest look I've ever been given by an athlete in my life. But then he saw me an hour later without a credential on and was the nicest, happiest, smilingest guy I'd ever met. And Pekka Rinne, listen, there are few people that are as awesome as Pekka Rinne when it comes right down to it. So honoring these three, having these three back in the building for the 1,000th win. I mean, what an incredible moment that is, celebrating all the alumni and all of the different things that the Preds are starting to do historically. I've not been here since day one. I arrived in season 4. ZMC, I didn't think you guys knew what the hell you were doing out here. So I invaded and said, give me a microphone. And for some reason, Pete Weber and your dad helped me get that. And ever since then, we've been doing this. But 25 years of history for this organization, a Hall of Fame GM, a Hall of Fame defenseman, a whole hell of a lot of great memories, a Stanley Cup final hosted in this town, All-Star game, 2 drafts, and a town that had some great under-the-radar minor league hockey in the past, exploded onto the NHL scene, and for 25 years has been riding that bull and never letting go. Talk to me about 25 years of Predators history. Just any thoughts you want to add to it?
I mean, I think it's fascinating and almost the perfect timing for the Predators to start their new Golden Hall. You know, the idea that this team has enough history, enough memories to have its own Hall of Fame. It does make me wonder, okay, this is the first class. What does the second class look like? You know, for me, I think there are players like David Legwand who meant so much to this franchise. I'm not sure if we're past this point yet. We might have to wait until he retires in a couple years. I would put Ryan Suter on that list of legendary Predators. Do I think he'll ever end up in that hall? Probably not. Things did not end well there, but time does heal all wounds. I think goaltenders like Mike Dunham, Tanis Vokoun. I mean, these are players who were legends in those early days. I go back and I think about Paul Correa, the first big marquee free agent to sign with the Nashville Predators. That was a huge cornerstone moment. I must have been probably 12, 13 when that happened. And I remember just like feeling like it was a Christmas present in July at that point when you hear Paul Correa is coming to Nashville Predators. I'm like, Paul Correa from Mighty Ducks 2? That's amazing. Wow. You know, it's exciting when you get those kind of marquee players. I mean, yes, the big moments you can go back to. The 2017 run. I was living in Chicago at that point and literally took overnight mega buses to get here for home playoff games. Like that was the level. There was no way I was missing any of that. But for me, it's family, honestly. Those are the biggest memories for me. You know, my dad, prior to becoming the voice of the Predators in their PA box, was a season ticket holder and would take me, my brother, my sister, my mom 2 games. You know, we only had 2 tickets, so we had to split it all up, and mom always got the weekends. But it was those trips to Jack's on Broadway, going to watch the team, yelling things at the refs that he could never yell now because he actually knows them, that sort of thing, that are really special memories for me as a person. And it helps me continue to be a fan to this day, even when times are lean, because you have those to lean on and be with and remember, wow, this sport has given me so much. The least I can do is, yell and scream and be there for them too.
It's the same for me, ZMC, and a lot of people on this show don't necessarily know my origin story with the Predators. Starts with Mark Hollingsworth in Section 303, where he realized there was a kid from Jersey that had moved here that had one big voice and decided he needed to put me in row L right in the middle for a solid 10 years there. And I screamed my head off because I wanted the NHL to succeed here in Nashville, and I wanted hockey to become as popular as I thought it should be, and I wanted everyone to feel that passion, that fire. So for a long time, I was up there in Section 303 helping on a nightly basis get things done. And it was your dad and it was Pete who helped me get that microphone and get that first radio job here in Nashville. They realized I was a kid that showed up with a hockey stick in one hand and a suitcase in the other. And just like so many other Nashville stories, was just determined to make it in my field, which was covering hockey. And I've been doing it ever since. And it's been so awesome. My favorite moment that I was ever a part of was the first standing ovation, being live in the building when that happened, it was an emotional feeling that I've only been able to rival with things like the Stanley Cup final and a couple of other moments. But even just a regular season game, standing up and clapping and cheering for 3 straight minutes, it was enough to send emotions through me that I didn't know I could feel. So it's been important to me, and I've met you, your family, I've met the Webbers, I've made friends for life, contacts, connections, coworkers, just about everything because of this Nashville Predators organization. So it's been an honor to be here covering them for the last nearly 20 years out of my 29 years of covering things and doing this. So the Predators have been a fantastic organization to me, to a lot of people. And if I could add one name to go into the next class, and this is my real Predators moment and story. This is and I'm not kidding, ZMC, the headphones with the Walkman hidden in the hoodie during class at MTSU as Steve Sullivan is making his debut with the Nashville Predators. And I have got to tell you, that might be the most excited I had seen this fan base ever get up to that point. Of course, we'd have bigger moments and escalating things after. But Steve Sullivan's debut, the 10 points in 3 games that he had, just electrified everything about Nashville, Nashville sports, Nashville hockey. And it was just a bolt of lightning from the littlest spark plug you'd ever expected from. But man, did he come in here ready to throw Nashville on his shoulders and make those first magical moments happen. Sully would be my first nomination for the next wave of the Golden Hall.
Yeah, I mean, Sully, Pete, and Terry. I mean, Sully kind of kicked off that like electric debut thing that really had Nashville Predators players going for a while. I mean, heck, when PK Subban first came in, scored that goal in his first game. I mean, Ryan Johansson, like you think of those first game heroics.
JP Dumont scored his first game.
Oh my gosh, that's a fun list to put together. Best Predator debuts. All right, I'm thinking here.
Together. All right, I think we might have to get together and do this again.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, ZMC, listen, I want you to plug the Predators pregame one more time, and then I want to talk about one more thing before we get you out of here, because, I mean, listen, I can do this all day long. I know you can, but I want to spread our conversations out over several weeks, several episodes, and give people a chance to digest it. So that was some good, intense Predators talk. I love it. I enjoy it. I really, really like talking to you about it. Let's pick that conversation up again later. But now plug what you're doing. Plug the next event this Saturday.
Absolutely happy to do it. If you haven't come down before the game and enjoyed Nashville, it's the best way to get, better parking. You get closer to the arena, less of a walk coming out. Come hang out with me starting at 4:30 at BetMGM Sports Lounge for the Bud Light pregame party. We're going to be giving away all kinds of stuff. Last time we gave away a new jersey. We gave away tickets to the Golden Hall induction. We're giving away all kinds of free stuff. It's awesome. Playing games, drink specials, exclusive prizes. We even have like different tailgate games you can play there. It's a really good time, and it's Keith Urban bobblehead night. So who doesn't want to go get a nice Australian bobblehead with his marginally less famous wife, I would say, right? She hasn't done anything except for be the best Batman girl, and I'll die on that hill because her and Batman forever. Woof. But yeah, 4:30, BetMGM Sports Lounge, me, DJ Battle, come hang out. We're going to have some fun. What do you got for me, Chuckles?
You will spin us off into a whole nother avenue that goes hours of that. So we'll I'm punting.
That's
but
locker room talk right there.
I'm coming back to that. Locker room talk. That's what this next segment's going to be. Listen, ZMC is one of the top left wingers on the Renegades of Puck Hockey Club after winning a championship last season in Nolensville, moving up a level to the D-League. Tougher competition, a longer schedule, 18-game regular season, 3-game playoff tournament. ZMC back on the squad over there on left wing and holding it down. ZMC, it was an adjustment period, just like for those Nashville Predators to the new league and the new competition. But after the first 5-6 games, the decor, the goaltending, and now the forwards have all started to really get some chemistry and gel together. And now the squad's 6-5-1. I see you out there skating your tail off, covering on the back end, jamming away at the front of the net. ZMC, talk to me about the Renegades of Puck Hockey Club.
Far be it from me to compare myself to Philip Forsberg, but from streakiness, that's me right now. And it has been a long streak. So if I can't help out filling the net, then I might as well skate my bag off and try and help with some of the other stuff there. So, it's been cool. It's been nice to kind of get some of that consistency, play with the same line mates. Shout out to Bryce and TJ. They've been awesome to play with. So, it's been cool to see the team really gel and really just be out there and support each other. That was the thing I texted our group team thread about the other day, was just the level of commitment, work ethic, and support. Everyone had each other's backs out there. And a big shout out to who we played on Sunday night too. Just a great group of guys. It didn't get too mean or intense as some of these games can certainly get when you get a bunch of grown men together who are trying to compete. But it's been fun, and it's been a great time at Fordyce Center Antioch getting to play, and I'm excited for the rest of the season because I think we're really starting to figure it out.
Stat of the game against the Catfish Cowgirls, that might have been the only game in Renegades of Puck history where there was not a single penalty on either side, which speaks to the level of fun, competitive, hard-fought, spirited play, which that game had, unlike the amount of stick work the week before. But we'll move on from that. So yes.
I do want to honor something there, Cap.
Go ahead.
You made your long-awaited return to the ice as well on Sunday night. How'd it feel getting back out there for a couple shifts?
You know what? I stole 2 shifts from 2 much more deserving players to be out there on the rink, but I wanted to touch the ice. I wanted to see it with my own eyes again, feel it with my own eyes. I touched the puck maybe twice, but got in hard on the forecheck, got in good on a rush with good old AD and Luke Youngblom, which Luke Youngblom might be the prototypical finest looking rec hockey player in history. Man, I don't know how I ended up getting lucky enough to draft Luke Youngblom, but when you get a winger who's well over 6 foot with long arms and a good stride and can put the puck in the net with regularity, man, as a GM and coach, I'll just say I lucked out on that one. That had nothing to do with me recruiting out on the fringes and trying to find Luke, but it's been fantastic welcoming in new Renegades and starting to build the team moving forward. And we've got a whole lot more season to go. We got a third of the season left plus a playoff tournament. We're right there on the fringe of the playoff cut right now. So very much looking forward to it, ZMC. And it felt good. Felt good to touch the puck. It felt good to talk to the refs again. It felt good to just be out there. So it took 2 shifts and celebrated like I won the Stanley Keg. So
that's all that matters.
It was great though, man. It just felt good to be out there with you guys. Being out for 6 months, standing behind the bench, I wanted to support the team in any way I could the whole time, but man, it's not the same. You can't lead your team from behind the bench, especially in these leagues. So being out there, being in front of the crew, and being able to do it, it sure felt good.
1-0 when the Cap's back in the lineup is all I'm saying. So
appreciate that. All right, ZMC, let's do this again sometime. What do you say? Let's figure out some way to have this conversation more than once this season.
Beautiful. Let's do it, man. I'm in.
He's Zach McCann. He is the host of the Predators pregame show. He is also a man about town. If you see him, say hello to him. He's one of the finest Renegades you'll ever meet. Zach McCann, thank you so much for coming on the Renegades of Puck podcast.
Thank you, sir. Always happy to be a part of it. Let's go Renegades.
Absolutely love that guy. Zach McCann is one of the best. He's not afraid to share an opinion. He's a critical thinker. He's a groovy human being. He's got a lot of really, really cool hobbies, and I love having him on my hockey team for sure. One of the best left wingers in all of the D-League. I sure do appreciate Zach McCann spending a few minutes here on the show. Let's do that on a regular basis. Seriously, that was a lot of fun thinking about it, laughing, telling stories, just thinking through while we're talking and just letting it all flow. It was a lot of fun. I think he and I have good chemistry on the show together. I think we'll continue to do that. Let's close this thing out. Signature win against the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, what else can you say? The Preds have very few of those on the season. They only have 14 wins in total. They have 9 wins on home ice. A few of them have been signature wins. This one, while they had to hang on till the very end, they put up a 4 spot on the Vegas Golden Knights before Vegas ever got themselves moving in the positive direction. And to be honest with you, the Nashville Predators looked fantastic. Noonan did the job he had to do in the third period to hold on. Signature win. Enjoy it for the moment, but it all gets erased if you go ahead and drop this next game to Chicago. So there's a positive, but there's a warning there. If you turn around and drop a game to the Chicago Blackhawks, who are behind you in the standings, and then you don't perform well against Minnesota, San Jose, well, then the homestand is for nothing, and the win against Vegas will be forgotten about very, very quickly. So signature win, great job. Don't lose the momentum, though, going against Chicago, Minnesota, San Jose over the next 3 home games at Bridgestone Arena. A chance to really start to write the record on home ice and get the fan base fired up for what's going to be a very busy February and March run. Is it a team that's going to make the playoffs? I don't think so, but I want them to be successful. I want them to make a run. I want them to start building towards next season. That's what we're going to start focusing on. That's why in the conversation with ZMC, we spent a lot of time talking about some positivity, some growing things forward, getting better. Tired of just complaining all the time, listening to people whine. Start trying to find the positives and build on those. That's what we did right here on Operation Number 954. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your viewership. Most importantly, thanks for each and every one of you. Man, it's fun doing this. I am your host and Captain Charlie Saunier. Stick taps, love and respect.